Every single business, whether it's a local coffee shop or a huge tech company, faces this one big fundamental question. How do you grow? It's really the engine for survival, for success. So in this explainer, we're going to break down 3 core strategies that every leader absolutely needs to know to answer that exact question.
Okay, let's put you right in the manager's chair. Things are going pretty well, but you know it's time to kick things into the next gear. You've got a solid product, a loyal customer base, so where do you go from here? And this isn't just some textbook exercise, right? This is a huge strategic decision that's really going to define your company's future.
So to help you figure this out, here's the game plan. We'll start with the big picture, the growth challenge, and talk about what intensive strategies even are. Then we'll dive into the 3 paths, one by one: market penetration, market development, and product development. And finally, we'll wrap it all up with the manager's decision and leave you with your next move.
All right, let's get started with that big picture, the growth challenge. We're going to be focusing specifically on a really powerful set of approaches called intensive strategies. Now, the real power of these strategies is that they don't force you to take some massive leap into a totally unrelated business. Nope. Instead, they're all about intensifying your efforts, about doubling down on what you already know, your existing products and your existing markets. It's about getting more juice from the squeeze.
Okay, let's dig into our first strategy, market penetration. And honestly, the subtitle here says it all. It's about selling more of the same stuff to the same group of people. So with this strategy, you're not changing your product, and you're not out there looking for new types of customers. The entire goal here is to grow your market share right where you already are. Think of it like deepening your footprint on your home turf.
So, how do you actually pull this off? Well, the tactics are probably things you've seen a million times. We're talking about launching some really aggressive marketing campaigns, maybe using competitive pricing to snatch customers from your rivals, or setting up loyalty programs to get your current customers to buy more and more often.
And Apple is an absolute master of this. They are constantly marketing their core products, the iPhone, the iPad, to the customers they already have, trying to get them to upgrade and pulling in users from their competitors. And it works for them because their whole ecosystem is so strong. Once they get one more person on board, it's a huge win that pretty much locks in future sales.
Now for a manager, here's the essential trade-off. The big benefit is that this is the lowest risk strategy of the 3. You know the product, you know the market. Easy enough. But the downside is very real. You can eventually just hit a ceiling. Once pretty much everyone who might want your product already has it, growth just stops. That's what we call market saturation.
Okay, let's move on to our second strategy and see how things change. This one is market development. So now the focus shifts away from selling more to the same people and starts focusing on selling the same thing to new people.
See the difference? The product stays the same, but the audience becomes the new variable. You're taking something that you know is successful, and you're finding a brand new group of customers for it. So the what you sell is locked in, but the who and the where are now totally open for expansion. This can play out in a few different ways. The most obvious one is just expanding geographically, taking your business to a new city, a new state, or even a whole new country. But it could also mean targeting a new demographic, like, say, marketing a product that was for young people to an older audience. Or it could be as simple as just launching an online store to reach customers you couldn't get to before.
Here's a super simple example. Just imagine a trendy clothing brand that mostly has stores in big cities. If it starts opening up new shops in more suburban or rural areas, that is a classic market development play. The clothes are the same, but the company is tapping into a totally new customer base.
And here's the math for a manager. The benefit is potentially huge, right? You could unlock completely new streams of revenue. But the risk level definitely jumps up. A new market means new cultural norms, maybe new legal hurdles, new competitors. You're basically stepping into the unknown, and that's going to require a bigger investment with a lot more uncertainty.
All right, this brings us to our third and final intensive strategy, product development. And here, we're going to flip the equation one more time. We're going back to our loyal existing customers, but this time, we're bringing them something brand new. With this one, you're really leveraging the trust you've already built up. Your customers, they already know your brand, they like what you do, so you go and create a new or maybe a modified product specifically for them. The audience is fixed, now the product is the variable.
This is where all the innovation happens. It means investing in R&D to tweak existing products or even create something from scratch. It could be adding cool new features, improving the quality, or launching a whole new product line under your trusted brand name. That's a tactic we call brand extension.
Just think of a company like Coca-Cola. It knows its customers love the original, but it also sees that health trends are changing. So by developing a new product, like Coke Zero, it meets that evolving need within its loyal customer base, and it keeps them from going somewhere else for their next drink. The benefit here is really powerful. You can create incredible brand loyalty by basically evolving with your customers. But, and this is a big but, this path is often the most expensive. R&D costs can be massive, and there's always the risk that after all that time and money, the new product just doesn't sell. It's a real gamble.
Okay, so we've covered all 3 intensive strategies. Now we get to the most important part, the manager's decision. With these 3 options on the table, how in the world do you choose the right path for you? This table is basically your strategic cheat sheet. It boils it all down. You've got market penetration. It's low risk, but you might hit that saturation wall. Then there's market development, which gives you access to new customers but comes with higher costs and more uncertainty. And finally, product development, which is fantastic for loyalty, but you're facing high R&D costs and the risk of failure. So what's the bottom line? Well, there's no single right answer. The best strategy depends completely on your unique situation. How much risk can your company really handle? What kind of budget are you working with? Is there still a ton of potential in your current market, or is it really time to start looking somewhere else? An honest answer to those questions will point you in the right direction.
And this all leads us to our final thought, your next move. Because now it's time to make this personal.
So, we've laid out the playbook for intensive growth. You've got the lower risk path of penetration, the more exploratory path of market development, and the innovative path of product development. So, putting yourself back in that manager's seat for one last time, what would be your first move? That's really the question to take away from all this.